Hey guys, Brett Weiss here. As you know, graphic novels and trade paperbacks published by Marvel and DC are everywhere. For the last few decades, they have published thousands and thousands of, graphic novels with new material and trade paperbacks with reprints. But that wasn't always the case. Back in the 70s, graphic novels were few and far between. But I thought I would show you my collection today because there's some really cool stuff, including a Marvel Comics cookbook, a superhero cookbook from back in the day. I'm going to show you a lot of graphic novels from back in the 70s, some trade paperbacks, some different movie books published around that time that are similar, but mostly graphic novels, mostly trade paperbacks, some hardcovers too. Just some really interesting comic book based books from Marvel and DC that are pretty rare today. A lot of them are really hard to find and worth quite a bit of money. I've had them for a lot of years and I thought I would share those with you today. So let's check them out. All right, starting off with the DC stuff, Superman in particular. The Superman Spectacular is really cool. This is actually from the early 80s. So I'm going to be showing you stuff 70s and 80s. I'm going to break my rules a little bit, as you'll see in a little bit. Startling Saga of Superman Red and Superman Blue. This is a classic Superman story. And I love that these trade paperbacks, the pages are bigger. And, back in those days, comic books were made from newsprint. So paper quality is better here. Really great stuff. And I found this, gosh, I don't remember where I found this. Probably just at a used bookstore somewhere. It's a British edition. And has some Superman reprints there, mostly in black and white, but some color too, and some blue for some reason. Anyway, pretty cool stuff. Now check this out. This is really interesting. I'm not just showing graphic novels. I'm going to show you some nonfiction books too. 70s and 80s books, oversized books. I already showed you guys a video on my trade paperback, so we're going to be looking at the bigger books today. How cool is this? Classic Superman artwork on a nonfiction book, almost like a science book or a Guinness Book of World Records book. Pretty cool. But throughout, to help illustrate the action, you've got Superman. Pretty cool. So try to jazz up facts and science and world records and that kind of thing with some Superman art. Pretty cool. This is awesome. This is a very, very hard to find book. Here's another one, Superman Serial to Serial. Talks about the classic Superman serials with Kirk Allen and the George Reeve Superman TV show. My copy is not in great condition, and there was a hardcover version, which I haven't found that one yet, but just a really deep dive on the classic Superman TV show with the great George Reeves. Awesome. Really interesting book. And from everything I've read and heard, I don't think he actually committed suicide. That just seems far-fetched. All right, so here we go. This is an interesting one. This one you'd find a lot of times at libraries, like at schools and just libraries in general. Superman from the 30s to the 70s. Reprints in a durable format to read again and again. Again, a color center. Pretty cool. Classic Superman stories. Originally published at $12.95. Presumably this edition was cheaper. I remember seeing this at the library in my school and read it again and again. Pretty awesome. Now I'm breaking my rules a little bit here because you've got a book published in 1993 by Cult Movies, the magazine company. What's cool about this, it's about two pilots that were never produced, Superboy and Super Pup. These were shows that had pilots produced and they never actually came out. They were actually The Adventures of Super Pup from 1958 and The Adventures of Superboy from 1961. If you look at some of these pictures, you might have a good idea of why these shows were never produced. Super Pup is just bizarre. I mean, look at that. How strange is that? I haven't looked on YouTube to see if you can find some clips. I think you might be able to. But this is a neat book talking about both unaired pilots. Kind of some lost Superman lore here. Perhaps that's him years later, looks like. Yeah, John Rockwell at his West Hollywood apartment in a recent photo. John Rockwell. Boy, there's a lost person of Superman lore. All right, superpowers. This was probably in the 90s too, but I wanted to include it in this video because it's just so interesting. The anti-coloring book. I got it because it's superpowers. I collect the superpowers action figures, and I thought this book looked pretty neat. And it was only like $2 or $3. But, you know, it's got a little bit of art on each page, but then you're supposed to draw in the rest. And I know this was a thing for a while. Anti-coloring book. I guess it really looks to me like a quick way for them to make a buck by only having a little bit of art. But hey, it also spurs creativity for kids. You can fill in the rest. Anyway, kind of cool, kind of interesting with the costumes and everything. Back of the book looks great. Cool stuff. All right, I'm going to show you a super dictionary in a minute that is just awesome. But let's go over here first. Deep dive on the Adventures of Superman television series, which was the first superhero show I watched. That, and then I discovered Spidey Super Stories on the Electric Company. That was my first introduction to superheroes. Before I even read comic books, I discovered the Adventures of Superman on television. And here's kind of an interesting book. This one appears to be, it's actually 1989, so it makes the cut with the 80s. Heroes and Villains, movie or serial classics, these cheaply made serials. Check it out, Batman and Robin. This is what passed for entertainment back in the 30s. Kirk Allen actually was a very good Superman, and those serials were good, but the Batman ones are kind of fun to watch today just for interesting historical context, but they weren't great. Their Batmobile just looked like a regular car. And the Superman stories, whether you're dealing with, just kind of mundane compared to, even stuff from the 70s and 80s, the 30s and 40s serials. Kind of interesting to look at today, but overall, pretty dated, obviously. Check it out. And you thought George Clooney or Val Kilmer didn't look great as Batman, or Michael Keaton. Actually, that guy didn't look too bad here. Oh well. Now check it out. The Superheroes, Files Magazine, spotlight on Superman and Spider-Man. So Marvel gets a little cameo here, this section of the video. Talks about the animation. Superman movies. Superman 3 with Richard Pryor. Oh my. The less said about Superman 3 and 4, the better. I did like the George Reeves TV show, I have to say. I think it's even still fun to watch today. The Supergirl movie. Here's the storybook on Supergirl. That movie, she's just so beautiful as Supergirl. She did a great job. She looked great in the costume. She looks like Supergirl, but it was just a boring movie. It's a decent looking movie. It's just that it wasn't much action. She barely punches anyone. There's just not much going on. There's a lot of talking. And it's just not very action-packed. Very disappointing. Look, heat vision there, not bad. But yeah. Too bad it wasn't a better film. I do still watch it from time to time. Because, it is Supergirl. More Superman on TV. Pretty cool. A lot has been written on the original Superman TV show. A surprising amount. There's more books here than, I've got some mass market size paperbacks on the show as well. Now check this out. Superman at 50. This is a hardcover that was also published in paperback edition. What's cool about this, it's got a foreword by the legendary science fiction and dark fantasy author Harlan Ellison, which is pretty cool. But if you go throughout, just words, bunch of words, little drawings here, but some great essays. There's some pictures. A picture. Great essays on Superman and just what it meant, what Superman has meant to culture, popular and otherwise. Pretty cool. Great book with a great foreword by Harlan Ellison. All right, guys, check this out. Been looking forward to showing you this. Super Dictionary. Now, I found this at Half Price Books one time in their kids reference section. Now, I've told you in previous videos, when you're shopping at used bookstores, Half Price in particular, don't stop at the video games. Look elsewhere. You can find all kinds of cool stuff and places you wouldn't ordinarily think of looking, like the children's reference library section. Check out the Super Dictionary. It's got just gorgeous artwork on the cover, and it's full color throughout. This is a hard to find book now. Very hard to find. Very sought after. I think a nice condition copy will cost you at least $100, maybe 150 to 200, who knows. But I found this for $10 at Half Price Books years ago, and just check it out. And I remember my son Ryan wanted to read this a lot as a kid, and I would let him, and I would just say, just try to be gentle. But I figured it was more important for him to enjoy this than me, having a book that was worth a lot of money. And he did take very good care of it. I've got it here all these years later, and he did. He read it gently, and he's a good kid, always has been. But pretty cool. Like Refuse, and I refuse to come with you. I'm telling you, I will not come with you. I always refused before, and I won't change my mind now. Just in case, you got kids that, and you want them to actually learn to read or learn some words. That may apply to you. Green Arrow tries to remember Black Canary's birthday. He wasn't always the best boyfriend in the world. Pretty cool stuff. I love this book. This is great. It's nostalgic because my kid, Ryan, used to read it, and also just because it's a great looking book. I love to have this in my collection. So let's get to some Marvel stuff. I've actually got a little more DC stuff to show you guys before we get to the Marvel. Mysteries in Space, the best of DC science fiction comics. Pretty cool compilation in color. It's nice. Captain Comet, some other, lesser known characters in the science fiction realm for DC. Now this is a really cool series. Encyclopedia of Comic Book Heroes. Back before the internet, these were crucial because you could get just tons and tons of information on Batman. With this book, mostly text, but some cool illustrations as well. Got the Wonder Woman volume. Really good looking books. Now there was a Superman as well, but it was also published as the Great Superman book, which is the edition I have. And then check this out, guys. This hardcover Wonder Woman book with an introduction by Gloria Steinem, the famous feminist. And Gloria Steinem, her Ms. magazine, Wonder Woman was her hero growing up as a kid, and so she put Wonder Woman on the cover of Ms. magazine. Pretty cool. And she wrote the foreword to this book. Reprints a lot of great old Wonder Woman stories and has some information as well. This is a really neat book. All right, for you gamers, check it out. Warlords and Star Raiders. I didn't include a bunch of this era of graphic novels in this video, but I wanted to show these guys to you for my gamer viewers, since this is basically a video game channel for the most part. Thought I would throw these in. Loosely based on the video games of the same name, very loosely. And check these out. This goes outside of the purview of this video a little bit, but these children's books are just so neat. Hardcover. Originally came with a cassette. There was a cassette there, but I don't have those. I just have the books. But pretty neat. Nice art. When my kids were little, they would read these. And I just kept them because they're neat looking. All right, guys. Now, for real, let's get to the Marvel. I really like these Marvel fun books. Again, just the artwork is so neat. And the two copies I have here, Volume 1 and 2, are just in perfect mint condition. It's amazing they've survived in such incredible condition over the years. These are fairly recent pickups. I got them for a really good deal because that's kind of how I roll. But cool artwork, strange scramble. I love the superhero themed puzzles. Just so neat. Armadillo challenge. No, armadillo was a superhero. Play a word game with your favorite armadillo. Okay. Little educational value, I guess. Pretty cool. All you need is a pencil. So neat. I've just always been a sucker for this kind of stuff. You know, I love the comics books themselves also, but just these sideline books are so interesting to me. Fun to collect. And the best of Spider-Man, years ago, before you could access just about all of Marvel's digital library, you know, their back catalog digitally, you could just read old comics. These collections were very important for reading. And again, middle part is color. This is crazy cool. Marvel Superheroes Cookbook. A little damage on the cover there, but I've never actually tried to cook anything from here. But again, the artwork is just so neat. Maybe I should try to cook some of this. I don't know. I've got real cookbooks, so. Thor's cabbage rolls. That doesn't sound too tasty. Khazar steak kebabs, on the other hand, those could be pretty good. How cool is that? All right. So these Fireside books, actually this one, let's go to the Fireside books next. Fireside published a series of reprint books, a bunch of them, and now they're all hard to find, and they're all worth quite a bit, you know, a fair amount of money. When the Hulk TV show was out, they produced this book to capitalize on that. Nice color reprints here. And then they did some theme ones here, like Origins. They did Origins and then Son of Origins. So this book has a little less popular characters, at least back then. Wanda and Iron Man have gotten a lot more popular since this book was published. Silver Surfer. The Superhero Women by Stan Lee. Pretty cool. And here's a couple of other reprint books published by Ideals. They're not the Fireside books. So pretty cool, guys. What else we have here? I think that's about it. So let me know in the comments if you have any of these great old reprint books, and if you collect these, I'd love to hear from you. Or just if you're, you know, a comic book fan in general. Are you Marvel? Are you DC, or both? All right, guys, thanks for watching. Thank you for subscribing. We will talk to you in another video. If you're a fan of my work, you might want to consider supporting me on Patreon. For just a low fee each month, you get a lot of extra content. Another way to support the channel and my writing career is to buy books direct from me, including the 100 Greatest Console Video Games, the Classic Home Video Game Series. It's like an encyclopedia set. And this massive bad boy, the NES Omnibus Volume 1 A through L. I will put links in the description of this video where you can buy books direct from me and where you can support me on Patreon. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.